Coming to you live from the palatial studios of PBJ Productions. Welcome to Patrick and BJ Talk Real Estate, where we talk about life, the universe, and everything as it relates to real estate.
Hey everybody, it's BJ.
And Patrick.
And we're here on location at Ugly Duckling Provisions, talking about real estate and everything that's going on in the area, but we have an exciting time where we get to spend some time with one of my past clients, Corbin Mathany, who's starting Ugly Duckling Provisions, a high-end restaurant. We're in the heart of Chinatown, and so we have some great stuff to talk about. We get to kind of delve into the vision of how we got here, and like we talk about something that's inspiring for you. And if you're watching this to say, hey, I have a dream and a vision, stick around. This is what you want to see.
Come on inside, let's take a look.
The restaurant, it's a work in progress, as you can see all around us, but you know, we're excited to be here with Corbin, who's really the visionary and the creative force behind what's happening here. I know there's a lot going on around us with the restaurant and everything, so maybe to start with, you know, tell us like a little bit about yourself. This wasn't just you decided one day, hey, you know, people don't just one day decide, I'm going to start a restaurant and go find a space and I'm going to, you know, make...
Well, I mean, some of us do. I made that decision when I was like 7, though, so the follow-through took a little longer, but I did one day just decide to start a restaurant. Okay,
so that's really cool, but at 7 years old,
I mean, you know,
like when you were a kid, you had this...
Yeah, I can remember the meal that made me decide it, so
maybe talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, my parents were throwing some like swanky office party in the backyard, and they had it catered, and it was this really awesome local guy who just made really beautiful food, and I was kind of like relegated to the background, but I was around, and I got to sneak a few bites, and I was like, this is magic. And it was sort of, yeah, at that point, that's what I wanted to do.
That's awesome. So now take me through, you go, where was that now?
That was southwestern Ontario.
Okay.
Yeah.
So take me from there to Victoria. How does that happen?
Well, it's a 30-year journey.
The quick version.
The quick version.
Yeah.
They pushed back on the whole restaurateur chef idea for many years. Really wanted to see me go to university. I ended up at Brock University in St. Catharines.
Okay.
And then, you know, that was the pleasant pill because that's a huge wine region, huge dining region. I ended up doing a lot more of that than going to school.
Okay.
And then I got a job in those restaurants, in a cool little winery restaurant, and went directly from university to culinary school in Stratford. I met a woman there who was coming back to Victoria. She was from here. She was, as soon as she graduated chef school, coming here to be the chef at Stage Wine Bar. And I'd always kind of had this dream of coming to the West Coast. Yeah, sight unseen, just from postcards and stories. This, Vancouver Island specifically, was always kind of the goal in the back of my mind. So the moment I didn't have any school obligations or anything to fulfill, I packed up the car and came to Victoria.
That's gotta be pretty amazing
yeah.
to like fulfill that lifelong dream.
Yeah.
And coming out to the West Coast, far removed from St. Kitts, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, it was.
And is there a job waiting for you here or something?
Yeah,
what does that look like?
I came to work with her at Stage Wine Bar when I landed in Victoria.
Okay.
We were there together for close to 3 years, and then I worked at Ula just down the street from here, what's now Ava Schnitzel House, and I ended up in Duncan for a few years, which I loved. The Cowichan Valley is beautiful, sort of the breadbasket of Vancouver Island, but it was a little quiet for me, but I had a really great experience sort of helming a restaurant in Duncan called Hudson's on First. And then met a girl in Victoria, as the story goes, got a little tired of driving over the Malahat every day, and Duncan was a little quiet after 9 o'clock, so I made my way back here and started kind of laying the foundation for this.
So tell me, what is this?
What is this?
Yeah.
This is the restaurant that I always hoped was possible, I guess. Sort of, through 12 years of working in other people's restaurants, there would always be things that, I would think, I would do this differently, or, if we changed this, I think it could be a little bit of a better experience, or, I would just all the things that you think you could do better and kind of want to prove that you could do differently and make your own. This is sort of the realization of all of those little notebook jottings over the decade plus of working in fine dining restaurants.
So tell us some of the challenges that it took from, like the whole plan of getting this started and getting this off the ground, because you're not open for business yet, you're under construction. I'm sure everybody can hear or see.
Yeah.
But
and as
we're
of
almost there.
As of today, we're what is it? The 20th? Yeah, we're a month and 5 days over
What you expect.
over schedule. Yeah. So obviously there are challenges to it.
Finding a space like this, that must have
Yeah, that didn't seem possible.
like a
BJ
dream
knows.
location.
Yeah.
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 Right on Fifth Guard in Chinatown.
Yeah. And there were other ones that didn't pan out that we looked at, and that was a lot of short-term heartbreak in the moment, where it feels like, man, kind of spinning our tires. I don't know if this is ever going to go anywhere.
Right.
Maybe I should become a plumber. And then, there are certainly discouraging moments, but we were persistent. I think this was one of the first places we sort of placed a phone call for, and it was sort of high up on the aspirational, places I would like to be. But we had to work for it a little.
I was going to say, there was a process to this one, right? It didn't just.
Yeah.
I think that's something that maybe you can talk about. Is, like you said, there were other places that looked like they might have been a good fit.
Yeah.
And you had to go through that process of, okay, so how do you manage that in that moment when I tell you, okay, this one's not going to work for whatever reason?
Man, I think pretty quickly it's just back to the drawing board, and in the end, it seems like kind of a blessing that those ones didn't work, because we wouldn't be here. And this is sort of, for me, I think I showed you the pitch deck where I was talking about the neighborhood I was looking for, the type of building I was looking for, and the sense of history. And this is such a historical building in such a historical neighborhood. When those disappointments happened, just leaning back in and, getting back out and looking for lease signs. And
How long did that process take? So you would have gone, you would have figured financing out, figured out your budget. Like there's a renovation budget on top of finding a place.
yeah.
But how long would that process have taken, including searching for the property?
Ooh. Do you mean from when I started fundraising until now?
Yeah, absolutely.
That was.
You can break it into segments, but absolutely.
I started fundraising in October really April 2021.
Okay.
I got was it April 2020? It was while the restaurants were closed.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the impetus for, getting serious about it, and finally having the time to really dedicate to this thing, getting the business plan written, getting the pitch deck together, getting it out to potential investors. All of that wouldn't have happened if I'd just been,
You could
going
have picked
through
the worst time to swim upstream.
Yeah.
And the restaurants are closed, but still, that was never gonna not keep going. It had to stop at some
My take was that there's always going to be, an end to that moment.
Yeah.
And there's always something going on in the world that's going to present a challenge.
Right. So it's all you're ready.
Yeah, and actually, maybe the ideal time, because I'm sort of going to be opening into the aftermath of that when everybody, has missed going out, has missed feeling normal and traveling and, coming and seeing new places. And there's this pent up energy that, it's a little daunting when everybody's being closed down and you're spending all this money and planning for the thing, and you don't actually know when it's going to end.
So,
But-
so when you had your financing, your fundraising sort of sorted out,
Yeah.
how long would it? How long were you looking at properties? So you said this is sort of on your list at the very beginning.
Yeah.
But you didn't
Yeah.
come. You didn't come back to it till later. So you missed
Well,
out on some other ones.
we reached out to the owner of the building initially, and then didn't really hear anything. And I said, you know, it's a really good space. Maybe it's worth just kind of poking him again. And BJ poked. BJ poked.
Yeah.
And I should add, because before we got here, we had another one that we actually had under contract, except for a
Yeah.
few things that we needed done
Yeah.
in order for that to get done, right?
Yeah. And they backed out, and I couldn't be happier that they did, to be honest, at this point, because like I said, we wouldn't be here, and this was sort of the girl of my dreams.
So you secured the space. What happens next?
Here,
Yeah. I mean, from like you secured the space on contract, like all the planning, renovation, design, like you must have had an army of people to get it even to this stage. Let alone you're not open yet with
Yeah.
staffing and managing everything.
the heavy lifting there was all Edda Creative. They've built and designed a lot of the restaurants that I've loved in Victoria, and I didn't even talk to anyone else when I was looking for a designer, because I'd eaten in spaces that they designed. I'd loved it. There's a lot of thoughtful details that they just know to look for, because it's kind of all they do. I didn't have to do much in terms of the design, except for, go look at what they have. Yes, pay, obviously. But yeah, I would just, they'd show me something, I'd fall in love with it, and then they would execute it. But yeah, when we took this place over, it was a shell. Like where you're standing right now in a trench.
There was a trench right down the middle, right?
Yeah, there was like drywall remnants up over all of this exposed brick. And that's actually one area where I did do the heavy lifting. I put 200-ish hours into restoring all the brick with a drill and a little wire brush, one brick at a time. So, yeah, looking at those makes me smile.
It looks amazing, especially with this neighborhood.
Yeah,
Right? It suits it so well.
Yeah, there's such a rich history here. I don't know whose bad idea it was, maybe in the 80s, to bury it, but I'm glad it's back. This is the only remnants of an opium den in Canada, this concrete pad and this wall behind us. It's pretty incredible.
The history of Chinatown, right?
Yeah, it's full of these like interior courtyards where, they kind of gave the appearance of assimilation out front, and then they had these hidden spaces that are all over Chinatown where people could, stay in touch with their traditions.
Well, there's Airbnbs and condos like through these alleyways.
Yeah.
That have been like repurposed over time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's so cool.
Here.
Now, for people that are, seeing this and see what's going on around, they might be thinking like, well, that all sounds great, but what are you, like months away from opening up? But you're not, right?
No, end of next week we have health inspection, liquor inspection, and then we have a little week of getting ourselves up to speed, and we're open on February 4th.
February 4th.
Yeah.
So just in time for Valentine's Day.
Yeah, which is, I felt like if I was going to be opening in the middle of the winter, I didn't want to miss those few big days where people can come discover us, and we can, have an opportunity to welcome them in for something special.
Excellent. So, and I think for everybody that's watching, we're going to come back and be here again to when all this is not going on and the restaurant is in operation. We're going to come back and visit again and see everything that Corbin has put together here. And, like we said, we want to really be able to encourage those of you that are watching that are saying, hey, I have dreams and things that I thought that maybe I'd put aside. But like we found out, Corbin, in what looked like the worst time
Yeah.
to do this. It turned around for you to be like the best time to build your dream and get out there.
Yeah, I never would have, you know, it's always a plan that's sort of in the back of your mind, and you think about like, when am I ready? You kind of put it off forever because it's never the perfect time, but having that moment to step back and really start to think about where I wanted to take it and where I wanted to end up and what I wanted to accomplish was, it was a great silver lining.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, 100%. Well, thank you for your time, sharing time with us today again. We are, like I said, we'll be back with an update in the weeks and months ahead. But in the meantime, if you haven't, please take a minute and like the video, subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you in the next video.
See ya.
Cheers, guys.